Alright, well, welcome back to Attack to Talk. My name is AJ, I'm your host, and I am running the show today. It's just gonna be me today, guys. Both Lexi and Zach were unable to attend, and so it's just gonna be me, guys, telling the story for today. So I'll do my best to do the voices, as I always do. I try to go and do my best. This is gonna be a fun episode, guys. It's gonna be a shorter episode, so kind of a quick one today. But it's gonna be fun, guys. This is gonna be the culmination of season 2. Crazy, I know. We are gonna be finishing our breakdown and discussion of season 2, episode 12, Scream. And it's crazy that there's only 12 episodes in season 2. It's such a shorter season compared to the others. Season 3, I mean, not to get too far ahead, but we're going to get into some very interesting territory, learning about a lot of different characters and their backstory. And if I remember correctly, the focus is gonna kind of change from the focus being on the Titans to the focus being on the backstory, which is always exciting. I know we always like to go ahead and think that, oh man, the Titans are the big bad villains, which I guess, they are, but we forget that there's also other little corrupt things happening behind the scenes. So again, don't want to get too far ahead, but yeah, we're going to be finishing off season 2 in this episode. So I'm excited. Again, it's going to be a shorter episode. We also have, of course, the poll results to get into. And we have our question that we ask on Spotify. And of course, our friend of the show, B. Dennis, has a tremendous response for us. So excited to go ahead and get into that. So you guys are stuck with me today. I hope that you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the question. I want to start off with the question. And it's an interesting question because the question itself, and for anybody that is listening, and as I read this question, if you want to go ahead and chime in chat, that I would greatly appreciate that. But if not, of course, no pressure whatsoever. But the reason why I present this specific question is because if anybody tuned in to last week's stream, to last week's episode, for anybody that listened or anybody that watched it, on Twitch or on Spotify or on YouTube, you'll notice that it was an emotional episode for me. I didn't realize that it was going to be so emotional really until going through the process of creating the story script for our streams and just watching the episode again and taking notes and seeing it all unfold right before my eyes again for I don't know how many times now. Let's say, anywhere from 4 to 5 range, I want to say is watching AOT again. But it always surprises me watching it for however many times, just seeing how I'm going to react. Obviously, I'm aware of more or less what's going to unfold, right? But do you guys ever just whenever you watch something that means a lot to you, and doesn't matter how many times you watch it, you still feel those same exact feelings? And I think that's something that's very special, and just, story writing, creating the story and characters and so the reason why this specific question, which I'm going to read very shortly, you guys are probably like, damn it, Age, you just read the damn question. But I just had to go ahead and kind of explain that I was emotional. I actually shed a tear or two, but it's because in our part 1 discussion of episode 12, Scream, it's a very pivotal episode because a character that I care about, Hannes, dies. And there's a lot of characters as a story kind of unfolds. They end up, their story comes to an end. But it's just something about Hannes and how he is as a character, how he was written, and it was difficult for me, It was difficult. So if you want to kind of hear about why it was difficult, tune into, or I should say go back and watch last week's episode. But now let's get to the question. So the question on Spotify is, Hannes was a difficult death for me, and it was difficult for me to handle. What character's death was emotional for you? And, I think it's a really interesting question because, as I mentioned, there's a lot of characters where their story comes to an end. There's a lot of characters' deaths that happen where it really does it hurts. Some of the ones that I had mentioned, obviously I just talked about Hannes, and that one really struck a chord for sure. But another one that was tough, only because I wanted to see more from this character, was of course Mike Zacharias. He's a big part of the Scouts, and he's such a strong presence. And he obviously has the gift for having that tremendous smelling ability. And he's a character that, of course, I wanted to go ahead and see going forward, and just to see how he really would have impacted the story going forward. But unfortunately, he died by the hands of the Beast Titan, who is a very important character in his own right. And there's different characters where they die, and it's just tough to handle. So again, the question is, what character's death was difficult for you to handle? And, of course, I would love to go ahead and listen and read or just to know your guys' responses. So if you guys are listening, message us on Instagram at Attack the Talk Podcast. And, we would love to go ahead again, just get your guys' feedback and get your guys' your thoughts and even just explain why the character's death was so difficult for you. Was it something that maybe you resonated with? Is that character did you kind of relate to that character? Is it just because it's one of your favorite characters? Is it a character again that I mentioned with Mika that you wanted to see kind of continue going forward? Yeah, I would love to go ahead and find out which character and why it was difficult for you. But of course, as I mentioned, our friend of the show, B. Dennis, who gives us tremendous feedback every single week, he gave us a very, very good response. And it's a response that I, of course, can really relate to, because I remember watching it in live. I was screaming at the TV. And so without further ado, a friend of the show, B. Dennis, responded saying, to this day, even if this doesn't really count, I think it counts because of the technicalities, and we'll get to it. But to this day, Armin's fake out death has hit me the hardest, like a piece of me died. I agree. And B. Dennis finishes off with saying, sorry for the exaggeration. No exaggeration at all. As a matter of fact, I think this is pretty mild. Exaggeration would be how I reacted to it, again, as I was watching it live, because I was just in such disbelief and shock, and I damn near wanted to go ahead and throw my pillows at the freaking TV, because I did not want that to happen at all. I've been on record here to say that Armin is my favorite character. And I see a lot of greatness in Armin with how he is as a character and how he portrays himself, and just the kindness that he has in his heart and the willingness to always just be a helpful hand. And obviously his intelligence is very key for the Scouts. But this, I know you want to refer to as fake out death because we know in the end Armin is revived, but he died. Armin died, so this definitely counts. And again, it was just a sacrifice that, again, only somebody with such a strong spirit and big heart, and again, doing it for the greater good. It's that type of character that really just like, oh man, I absolutely love and enjoy. And there's a lot of selfishness that we see in Attack on Titan coming from the different branches of regiments. The MPs, we are fully aware that they only care for themselves and their safety, and really disregard everybody else's, and whatever benefits them is where they're going to go. And then we have the garrison soldiers, who more or less are represented as being very lazy, and they don't take their job very serious, in the sense where like they're fulfilling their specific duties. They like to play games and they like to drink. And I mean, they're soldiers. They try to keep peace in the different districts of where they may be, you know, overseeing. But really, what's the worst is going to happen if you're inside these districts, especially if you are inside anywhere from like Wall Rose and inside. If you're in Wall Sina, which Wall Sina is, I believe, more or less MP district. But if you are a garrison soldier in Wall Rose, which is the middle wall, then again, what danger is really going to come to you? You know, again, if you are over in Wall Maria, the outer wall, then things might get a little interesting, as we have seen how they have played out, courtesy of our friend Rhina. And you know, again, there's selfishness even in the scouts as well. Not a whole lot of it, because it takes tremendous fight, tremendous just guts, and tremendous training really to just become a scout. And when you go through all that specific training, and your focus, and you want to be a scout, then, you know, I would imagine that you're probably going to be fighting for something bigger than yourself, right? So there's not a whole lot of selfishness there. But anyways, so Armin's death is one of the most difficult deaths to handle in Attack on Titan, for sure. So B Dennis, thank you again so much for your response. I say it every week. I'm so appreciative of your feedback. You have just tremendous insight when it comes to Attack on Titan, as I'm sure you have tremendous insight with a lot of many other different things. So thank you again for your response, and I'm looking forward to your future responses. All right. So now we got to talk about the poll, because another thing that happened in last week's episode, we got an interesting moment between Eren and Mikasa, and there was a moment where it looks like this could be the end for them. And Mikasa decides just to lay it out there and just to thank Eren again for everything, and to thank Eren for really being there for her, and fighting for her and protecting her. And again, the scarf, that significant scarf, that stinky scarf that I'm sure has not been washed. Yet she covers her face with it whenever she is feeling very, you know, very out there, and actually putting herself out there. And it's a moment that you can see surprises Eren. And there is a moment where they both are staring at each other, and Mikasa kind of leans in a little bit closer. And so the poll question is, do you want Eren and Mikasa to kiss? Now, we understand that they are siblings, not through blood. She pretty much was adopted by the Jaeger family, because unfortunately her family was murdered. So it wouldn't be that strange. I mean, it's still strange, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be that strange. But yeah, I mean, this is something that as that scene, that moment plays out where, again, that smiling Titan from episode 1 that murdered Aaron's mother right in front of Aaron and Mikasa and Hannes, right? That specific Titan is back, and it's heading straight for Aaron and Mikasa. And Mikasa, again, decides to just really confess her feelings in the best way that she can. I understand that it's got to be difficult for, and not wanting to maybe confess too much. And then Aaron just listening to her, and it's again a moment where it's like, is this going to happen? But to my understanding, the creator Isayama was too shy to put that into the actual story, which is not, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I think that it just kind of adds to really the dynamic of just the viewer's desires, right? Because you have, like, there's moments where us watching as just the consumers of this amazing story and these amazing characters, where it's like, okay, there's certain things that we want to happen. Again, I mentioned about certain things I want to happen for certain characters, but guess what? I mean, those don't always happen, and it just kind of leaves you with wanting more, or, you know, it makes you feel that much more invested in it, and yeah, it's just good writing, of course. So if he was, you know, too afraid or not to go ahead and put that in there, I mean, so be it. But yeah, we want to know, do you guys want them to kiss? And I have to say, the results were very overwhelming. Wasn't close at all. As a matter of fact, we have a solid 18% of you that said no, which means that we have 82% of you want them to kiss. I am not surprised. I am in the majority. I wanted them to kiss. I felt like it was a good moment for them to really confess their feelings for each other, because we all see it. We all see the love that they have for each other. Yeah. And joining us in chat right now is my co-host who was not able to make it, is Lexi. So Lexi, hope you're doing well. I didn't tell everybody why you're not here, so I don't have to tell them why you decided to go to this big old party instead of streaming with us. But no, I'm kidding. Yeah, she's not partying up right now. She's actually resting, and she's a little under the weather, and she has no voice, so she wouldn't yeah, she wouldn't be able to go and execute some of the characters in this episode. Which is, there's not a lot of characters, Lex. So I think the ones that I'm gonna be doing in your place is gonna be Ymir and Hanji, and I believe that's just it. So, I hope I do them okay. No, it won't be as good as you, but Alexis says voice acting would be impossible for me right now. Okay. So as I said at the start of the episode, I will do the best that I can to hold down the fort here. But Lexi, I want to ask you here, since you're joining us in chat, the question that we asked for the Q&A is, which character's death was emotional for you to handle? Friend of the show, B. Dennis, his response was Armin's death that happened as he sacrificed his body. And he said that he understands that it is a fake out death, so maybe this doesn't count. I think it does count. But he said that one was extremely emotional for him. So Lexi, do you have a character's death that just was tough for you to deal with? I mean, I know that you were here with me last week, as you saw, as we were talking about Hannes' death, that it was difficult for me to deal with. So if you could, Lex, we'd love to know your feedback on which character's death was tough for you. Yeah. But as Lexi goes and thinks about that for a little bit, again, 82% of you wanted to see Mikasa and Eren kiss. And again, we all want to see it. So is it going to happen with this anime-specific ending that we are supposedly going to get? Who knows? Maybe. But again, I mean, we see the love that they have for each other, and kiss or not, I mean, it's just we see it. I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, they both are they're willing to lay down their lives for each other. So if that's not love, I don't know what is. So, all right. So we are going to get into the story itself very shortly. But Lexi, yes, she has now given us a response to the question. Again, that question is, which character's death was difficult for her to deal with? And Lexi responds with, honestly, I think it hit me hard in episode 1 with Aaron's mom. Obviously, me being this middle schooler not watching a lot of anime, it shocked me so much. And I felt like I could feel Aaron's frustration. And that, I think that's kind of the point of episode 1 and how it just like immediately it just gives you this wave of like impacted emotion, regardless of what the emotion is, whether it's confusion, whether it's like frustration, as Lexi's mentioning here, whether it's sadness or I think that this episode starts off so strong because it wants to leave you with feeling something, right? And then whatever that feeling is, the idea is to have that be a reason for you to want to keep watching. And as Lexi perfectly states here, that it hooked me immediately. And yeah, same thing. It's such like a scene of devastation that happens so immediately, right? There's no segue into it. It's just, here are some characters we want you to focus on, and then just boom, right? And again, the idea is to really like let us all know, hey, these are the Titans that are outside the walls. They're not just these mindless, giant walking things, right? No, they're very devastating, and they bad news. So yeah, that's a great example, Lex. Thank you so much for your response. Yeah, Aaron's mother is another difficult death to deal with, and especially when they especially when they do again reflect on it, as we both were breaking down the part 1 discussion here of episode 12. And again, we see a moment as Aaron is reflecting on his mother's death, and that happens multiple times throughout the story where Aaron is reflecting on that specific impactful moment, right? In a lot of ways, it is the motivation for him going forward, and that's what really starts this anger that he has for Titans and wanting to kill all Titans, is literally seeing a Titan kill his mother right in front of him. And yeah, that's also another death where, as we talked about it last week, where it was making me feel emotional because as he was reflecting and seeing them, having that episode really kind of like capture the warmth and love that his mom was giving him, right? Seeing that just kind and just like protective smile that she has as she's wiping his cuts and bruises and trying to give him advice, and it's like, man, she's no longer there. And there's a lot of characters where they have these as I mentioned with the scouts, they have reasons why they're fighting for humanity, and a lot of times it's because they've lost loved ones, and so unfortunately Aaron is in no special territory there. Unfortunately, it's a way that they all kind of have a bond connection with each other, is because they're all fighting for a specific reason. Well, except for the traders, of course. They have their own reasons, and it doesn't have anything to do with losing loved ones, more or less. But yeah, damn those traders. But thank you again, Lex. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get into the story. Again, a lot of the focus here in episode 12 is the first part of the episode, which we already broke down and discussed. So as we again are discussing part 2 and the season 2 finale, there's not a whole lot to really go ahead and talk about, but we're going to go ahead and really, what's the word I'm thinking of here? I don't want to say reflect about what happened, but we're going to go ahead and kind of get some theories, some hypotheses, and they're going to be very shocking. And it's something where we're obviously not going to get any kind of closure here, because this is the end of season 2, which means that they, of course, are going to leave us with more questions. So that's what's going to happen in this part here. It's not going to be a whole lot happening, except for just things happening that leave us with more confusion. So with all that being said, without further ado, let me take a quick swig of Dr. Pep. And we'll get into the story. Again, guys, this is season 2, episode 12, Scream, part 2. All right. So the episode resumes as we get a look at an empty, destroyed ghost town ruins of the Shiganshina district. And we can hear multiple distant panting coming from somewhere. And then we see Raina, Bertold, and Ymir all trying to catch their breath while on top of Wall Maria. As they reflect on what transpired, Raina says, I don't get it. And then he turns to Ymir to ask, what the hell possessed you to come back? Ymir, resting on her back, catching a breather, with tears in her eyes, answers, can't say, really. Probably wasn't the smartest thing. Seemed a little unfair to send you guys back home empty-handed. Just think of me as a consolation prize. We see Bertold, and he's shocked by Ymir's decision, and he responds, are you serious? And then Ymir answers Bertold, look at it this way. If you hadn't come to bust up the wall, who knows when my nightmare would have ended. I owed quite a debt. This is me giving back what I took from you. At least somebody knows the shit you've been through. Even if it is only me. And then Bertold, now becoming emotional, he responds, yeah, well, thank you. Sorry. And then Ymir, looking up into the sky with a smile as a tear runs down her face, tells Bertold, no worries. Ymir then reaches out her hand as if to touch the clouds and to touch the moon. Being a goddess had its perks while it lasted. And now as we get a look deep underground, narrator the Armin tells us, with reports maintaining the likelihood of Wall Rose having been compromised, citizens of the region were forced to take refuge in a subterranean city within the confines of Walsina. However, I will continue on what narrator the Armin says, but I got to go back to Twitch so I can see chat, as apparently it crashed on me. I feel like I was on a good momentum there too. But all right, so I'm back. Hope that you guys are still here with me. And yeah, so let me go ahead and continue on with what narrator the Armin tells us. So he continues. However, though emergency provisions had been stockpiled for the purpose, with over half the population relying on them, rations could only last at most a week. Beyond that lurked a terrible choice. Turn on each other like animals, or face the prospect of starvation. To avoid a humanitarian crisis of catastrophic proportions, within a week of the Titan onslaught, authorities declared Walrose secure. Interesting. So, to kind of go ahead and talk about what just happened here, it's tough because something that happened in last week's episode is a choice was made, and that choice was made by Ymir. And again, it's a choice that I don't agree with at all. It's a choice that really bothers me the more I think about it. And we've obviously talked about the specific choice many times here in the podcast, and that is the choice to give herself, again, as she describes, as a consolation prize to Rhina and to Bertolt. Now, she has a consolation prize because obviously the prize that they wanted was Eren Yeager, who they found out is the coordinate. And just to go ahead and do a quick little recap, Eren has shown this new ability that he obviously has no idea that he can do. And so somehow he was able to almost force these Titans, this herd of Titans to go after that smiling Titan that killed his mother, and that it killed Hannes, and that was going to kill him and Mikasa. But again, this overwhelming feeling of emotions and rage, and then after Mikasa going and just confessing her feelings and her gratitude for his protection, Eren gets this new kind of sense of determination and motivation, and he then now stands up tall and proud, and he tells Mikasa that I will always be there to protect you. I will always wrap that scarf around you. And then he goes after that smiling Titan, and upon just connection, upon touch, something happens, and it is something that both Rhina and Bertolt feel, and it's like a jolt that they can feel in their core, and whatever that is, something happened that forced those Titans, the herd of Titans, to go after that smiling Titan and to literally rip that Titan to shreds, and to then start consuming and eating that Titan. And then as Eren is trying to escape with Mikasa, and injured Mikasa, by the way, he comes across Rhina in his Titan form. And again, Eren uses this coordinate ability to now direct the herd of Titans to go after Rhina and Bertolt. Now, Bertolt is not in his Titan form, and so he's kind of stuck on Rhina's shoulder and not able to do much. And so as the scouts were retreating, again, Ymir made the decision to go and to help out Rhina and Bertolt, who in that position there, being surrounded again by that herd of Titans, they were probably not going to make it. They would have taken a lot of strength from Rhina. And yeah, Ymir decided to go and help them. And so now they were able to retreat back to where things really began, and that is over in the Shiganshina district, over on top of the wall. That is Wall Maria. And Ymir now is kind of thinking about, she's thinking about probably Historia, because we're aware that she decided to go ahead and leave Historia, leave the confines of the walls, because there probably isn't a future for them, as Ymir describes. And she she's there with Rhina and Bertolt. Rhina and Bertolt they're surprised by her decision, as all of us are, I'm sure. But again, Ymir feels this feeling of guilt because she stole something from them. But at the same time, she's also thankful because she says here that had they not arrived on the island of Parody, she says, who knows when my nightmare would have ended. So she feels that feeling of like that she, you know, she owes them. And but you could tell this decision obviously is really weighing on her. As at this moment we see her with tears in her eyes, probably aware of what her fate is going to be. And then as narrator the Armin explains to us, that we see that citizens, refugees, refugees, I should say, they are being transported to this subterranean city, right? It says in the confines of Walsina. Walsina is the innermost wall, and we know how the people of Walsina feel about having refugees in their place. They don't like it, not one bit. They don't want more people here because then that means that they're going to take what they have. And that means provisions, as narrator the Armin tells us, that the food rations is not going to last. And yeah, it's a difficult time, and it's a time where they have two options, as narrator the Armin tells us. It is to turn on each other or to starve. But within a week, the authorities declared Wall Rose secure, which is good. So now that people can go back to the Trost district. So with that being said, we go back to the Trost district here, and we see an injured Commander Irvin, and he's resting in bed. And we see Commander Pixis and Captain Levi are there by his side. We then hear a knock on the door. And then Captain Levi turns to the door and he says, Hanji, come in. And then Hanji, she opens the door and she says, pardon the intrusion, Commander Irvin. Hanji, she salutes as she enters the room. Commander Pixis, glad we caught you. This is... State your name. And then we see somebody behind Hanji as this person nervously salutes and responds. Sir, Connie Springer, sir. 104th Cadet Corps. And then Hanji continues telling Pixis, Connie here is originally from Ragako. And then once Commander Pixis hears that word, Ragako, his eyes light up as Commander Pixis responds, ah, yes, where the invasion seems to have begun, correct? And then Hanji answers, yes, sir. In fact, he's corroborated a valuable piece of evidence in that regard. I think you'll find his story supports our hypothesis. And then Hanji then asks Connie, soldier, if you would. And before Connie can answer, we see that he's holding a framed picture. We see he's holding a family photo behind his back. And we now go to Jean, Armin, Aaron, and Mikasa, who appear to be waiting outside of the door. And we see that they're out of uniform. They're all in casual outfits. And then we see Aaron just reflecting on what happened. And Aaron says, I allowed myself to be kidnapped. It's my fault. Because of me, the scouts lost over half their veteran contingent, all in a single rescue attempt. But then Armin tells Aaron, still though, there were no casualties on the way back. The Titans completely ignored us. They were too fixated on Ryan and the others. Jean and I, we molded over between us once we got back. Now, hear me out. Suppose they acted that way because of you. And then Aaron just looks up at Armin. And then Jean adds, Just a thought, of course. But as far as an excuse me, Jean is something out of is okay. Got a channel in my inner Jean here. Jean adds, just a thought, of course. But as far as an explanation, it's about as good as we got. I'm not saying I envy the position you're in. Maybe all those people really did die for nothing. That all depends on you. If you're really worth the sacrifice, you'd better prove it. There's no time for second guessing. I like how Jean has these lines that really kind of like makes it difficult for you to like him. Like maybe this is the truth, but like, do you have to, I don't know, do you have to kind of be like I don't want to say a dick about it, but like how he's coming about saying this specific important line to Eren. It's like, dude, like Eren's already going through a lot right now. He's feeling the weight of all those soldiers' deaths on his shoulders, and you have somebody coming to you and being like, well, maybe they died for nothing. Hey, that's all up to you, pal. What are you gonna do about it? Huh? Stop second guessing yourself. And it's like sometimes you need somebody who is gonna tell it like it is, but I don't think Jean being that person for Eren is gonna really get the message across. I don't know. But either way, it's an interesting hypothesis here that Jean and Armin started thinking about here. About why those Titans just ignored all of us as we were retreating back to Trost. Interesting. But let's continue here as I go ahead and find my spot. So alrighty. So we see now Eren, he looks down and he examines his hand as he answers. You're right. I have to be decisive. And then Eren now tightens his hand into a fist. If this is real, if I can control Titans, I have to plug up Walmaria. Then make Reina answer for what he's done. People died for me. I have to earn what they gave. And then Mikasa just watches Eren carefully. She's probably watching him carefully because she sees again that desire in Eren to want to go ahead and do something crazy. And again, Mikasa just got Eren back. You know, Eren was kidnapped by these traitors that really, you know, these are the traitors that started everything. The reason why they're where they are right now. The reason why they're fighting so hard and just trying to get back home. And when you have something that you care about so much, and that person being Eren for Mikasa, then I'm sure Mikasa is watching Eren being like, I just got this guy back. I don't need him to go ahead and fight. I don't need him to, where in reality that's just selfishness from her part, because we all know that Eren is humanity's hope. So that's got to be tricky, right? But yeah. So now, continuing, we now return to Commander Pixis as he says, "Come again? You're saying the Titans responsible for this were the citizens of Ragako?" And then Irvin, he now joins the conversation. I see. So, in actuality, Titans are human beings. And as Commander Irvin says that last line, Captain Levi's eyes widen. And then Hanji responds, well, we don't have proof yet. And then Levi now joins in the conversation. Great. Perfect. I've spent all this time, all this energy, and the things I've been carving through were people. And then Hanji tells Levi, look, we don't know for certain. And then Connie can be seen just looking down again at that framed photo of his family, just holding back tears as he and Hanji now leave the room. So now Captain Levi, he asks Commander Irvin, so now what? But as Captain Levi looks at Commander Irvin, he's startled by the expression on Irvin's face. And as we get a look at Commander Irvin, we see that he's smiling, as if he's happy to have received this terrifying theory. And then Levi continues, excuse me. And then Irvin, he kind of snaps out of it, and Levi says, what's with that smile? And then Commander Irvin looks up at Levi. Oh, it's nothing. Just seems to me we've taken one more step towards the truth. And Captain Levi sarcastically responds, wow, one whole step, huh? At this pace, we'll run out of people before we actually reach it. Not a good rate of return. And then Commander Irvin tells Levi, everything comes at a price. One day we'll get close enough to break through. The wall bearing us from the truth will tumble. Interesting. And now as the camera just flies past Trost, and then we see now that it just flies through the open plains, we get a look of Hanji and the scouts. We then see Jean standing there with Sasha and Connie. And then we see Armin and Mikasa. And then again, as the camera flies past the many Titans that are walking through this open plain, we get a look at Eren Yeager. And then as the camera flies us back to Shiganshina, we see the Beast Titan waiting on Walmaria with a smirk on its face. And then as that camera pans up, we see an interesting blonde bearded individual on the shoulder of the Beast Titan, waiting, as he says, not just yet. And as we get that to be continued, that ends season 2 of Attack on Titan. Wow. What just happened? All right, let's talk about certain things that kind of are happening here. And well, one, happy to see Commander Irvin still there. He's still alive. We again, as we reflect on past events here, I mean, his arm got ripped off of his freaking shoulder, so now he's resting. It's cool that Captain Levi is still there by his side. I'm sure he was kind of debriefing with Commander Pixis and just explaining about the events of what transpired. And in comes Hanji and Connie. Now we know why Hanji wanted to so desperately go to Ragaku village. Excuse me. That's because she wanted to get answers of this theory that maybe she has, and that theory being that this is where the Titans came from, right? And so we can't say for certain that this is the case, not in this very moment. But upon explaining the news to Commander Irvin, Commander Pixis, and Captain Levi, we get confusion from Commander Pixis, and then we just get this feeling from Captain Levi of just shock and just like almost the thought of like, what, this is what I've been doing this entire time. And he obviously takes pride in what he does because he says that I've been carving up, and he does, he carves up titans, but he says I've been carving up humans. And it's got to be a very tough reality if, you know, again, we don't know for certain in this time, but when you have an ability of being the Titan Slayer and you find out that these monsters were once humans, like, that's got to be a heavy burden to now carry on your shoulders, because who knows how many titans, the countless titans that Captain Levi has slayed. And now he's thinking all those countless suffering humans. I mean, there's one way to kind of twist that and now just think that, hey, you're putting them out of their misery. They're being tortured in this Titan body and you're finally laying them to rest. No more torturing from here on out. But maybe that's something he's going to go ahead and think about in due time. But as of now, I mean, hearing this news is just a very big shock to him. But what's a shock to him as well is the look on Commander Irvin's face. And we know Commander Irvin, he's kind of a crazy dude. I mean, he's just built different, right? And that's because his mindset is so much different from some of the other leaders. This dude will go to any depths to get answers, to get victories. I mean, so many people have already now questioned him on the scouts that he's essentially sacrificing just for the greater good of humanity. Now, you've got to be a mentally strong individual to be able to go ahead and do that. And we see here that upon hearing this theory that Titans are humans, Captain Levi sees that Commander Irvin is smiling. And again, something that Commander Irvin says is, he says that this just means that we've taken one more step towards the truth. All that for a step. I agree with Captain Levi. All that for a step. Interesting. But again, Commander Irvin is aware that everything comes with a price. And that one day that they're going to go ahead and break through and find the truth. One day. But then we see that there's somebody who's there waiting for them. We see that it is the Beast Titan. And the Beast Titan is there with its Titan user. And who the hell is this person? And as Lexi chimes in perfectly saying that, okay, the fact that everyone thought that Zeke was Irvin's dad based off of one classroom scene and their blonde beards. Yes, that is a scene that I believe we see. I don't know if it's early in season 2 or if it's later in season 1, but it might be in early season 2 as Commander Irvin is kind of explaining about his father. And again, yeah, as Lexi mentions here, we see that his father is a teacher who has glasses and has a beard, and he's blonde. So then when people see that, they're like, wait, hold on, what? That's Irvin's dad. He's this Beast Titan? And can you imagine being left with that for so long? You know, again, this is the end of season 2. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode here, we are going to go ahead and not get answers. We're going to get more questions. So to my understanding too, a lot of people were also thinking that this potentially could be this character, this beard blonded character could be somewhat related to Armin. Everybody wants to go ahead and link the blondes together. But no, as a matter of fact, this character is related to somebody else. And yeah, so we get a look at Zeke himself. They're waiting for the scouts to arrive back to where things all began. And that is in Eren, Mikasa, and Armin's home of the Shiganshina district. And boy, it's going to be interesting. So yeah, guys, we made it to season 2. I know that season 2 is the shorter of the seasons here in AOT. We're going to get into some crazy stuff in season 3, stuff that, as I mentioned, where we're going to realize that the Titans aren't the only threat that the humans have to go and deal with. Things are going to go ahead and come up. People are going to arrive. There's going to be some sketchiness. There's going to be some corruption. And we're going to go ahead and talk about it here in this podcast, of course. And yeah, it's going to be exciting to go ahead and get more clarity on all of that whole aspect of it, because a lot of times those specific moments can be a little foggy for people, because a lot of people just remember the significant moments of moments involving Titans, right? So, and also season 3 is going to be a very big season for Historia. So Lexi, go ahead and build up the strength of that voice again, because you know that Historia is going to go ahead and she's going to be a big focus of season 3. So unfortunately, I believe we're going to be done with Ymir. And yeah, like say that, yeah, Historia's voice is so hard to do. Yeah, it is. But at least now she has a little bit more bass in her voice, because now that she is she's now leading in her own way right now. She's realizing who she really is. She's going to get more answers as far as who she really is. But she now is going to be referred to as Historia, no longer Krista. The sweet Krista, the sweet innocent Krista, which we knew. So, but I want to ask you, Lex, how does it feel knowing that Ymir is essentially done? Like, when you kind of reflect a little bit and think now, like, oh shoot, like, I'm probably not going to be doing her voice anymore. Like, that's got to be kind of interesting. You know, I can only imagine how the actual voice actor themselves feels, you know, to go ahead and be finishing off a character's voice and being like, wait, wow, like, that story is done. Now, I don't want to say for certain that Ymir is done, but I mean, we know that her arc is coming to a close, and yeah. Yeah, well, Lexi is saying that I'm mostly looking forward to voicing her for the letter that she writes for Historia. Yeah. Yeah. But it's after that when Lexi said that she'll be sad that Ymir is gone. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, you know. I wasn't very good at doing Hannes' voice, but that's another character where we're not going to be doing the voices for that specific character anymore. So yeah, it's always tough when you're like, damn, like, we're not going to be talking about this character for a while anymore. So, but we made it, guys. We made it to the end of season 2 again, as I mentioned. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you, Lex, for joining in chat. For anybody that's listening, thank you so much for your support, and just for tuning in on a weekly basis. And we hope that we go ahead and we really kind of get into good discussion and breakdowns here as we go ahead and just reflect on the episodes in chronological order here. It's something that's fun for us. It's also it's a cool little roller coaster of emotions. So it's fun to go back and just talk about the story again. And we hope that again that you guys are enjoying it with us here on this wonderful ride of AOT. So yeah, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. It's going to wrap up season 2. And then next week, as we go ahead and get into more discussion here and breaking down more episodes, we will be officially starting season 3. So it's crazy to think here, guys, that Attack the Talk podcast has gone through 2 seasons now. Very cool. So yeah, it's going to be fun, guys. Season 3 is going to be a fun one. So again, guys, that wraps up another episode of Attack the Talk. New episodes, guys, will be streamed Sundays. We will update you guys on the time. Make sure you guys get all your updates on Instagram. Follow us at Attack the Talk Podcast. Get all your updates there. You guys can go ahead and see the polls that Zach posts over on Instagram. You guys can vote over on Instagram. And yeah, make sure you guys go ahead and follow along. So something that's also available, guys, if you guys want to go ahead and watch us on the many different platforms that we're on over on Instagram. Alexi made an awesome link tree that is so convenient for anybody who wants to go ahead and find us. If you follow us, just go to our profile page. There's a link for our link tree where you guys can see the different platforms where we're on. If you want to listen to us, you guys can listen to us over on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. If you want to go ahead and watch us, again, you can watch us on Spotify. You can watch us over on YouTube, and you can also watch us on Twitch. So yeah, check out the link tree, guys. Make sure you guys follow along, and thank you guys again. I also want to give a big thanks to NatePlaysBad, who goes and he helps edit the videos together so that they're ready to go as we get them published over on Fridays, so that those episodes are available on Fridays on YouTube and on Spotify. So Nate, thank you so much again for your work, and I appreciate you helping us out as always. And make sure you guys go ahead and support Nate as well. Check out his Twitch at NatePlaysBad. He has a YouTube channel also at NatePlaysBad. Go ahead and show him your support. The same support that you show us. So thank you for everything, Nate. Of course, we got to go and talk about some merchandise, guys. For anybody that's looking for any specific anime merch, go ahead and go to that link tree, as I mentioned. Go to Fandomion, and there is a link there for you guys to go ahead and use. Click that link, and it'll take you to the Fandomion online site where you guys can go ahead and browse through all the different assorted anime merch that they have. They have so many different anime merch options, so many different anime to choose from, and they have so much more. If you're looking for anything aside from anime, or say you want to go ahead and browse some anime stuff, but hey, you know what? I want to go ahead and see what's kind of going on, what's popular here, and check out, go ahead and browse, because they have a lot of different stuff, guys, that again is aside from anime. So go ahead and check that out, guys. And if you see anything you guys like, go ahead and add those items to your cart. Make sure you guys go ahead and use that promo code. That promo code is LEX. Promo code LEX for, I believe, as Lexi mentioned to us last week, that it is now back to 10% off of your 10% discount off of your purchase. It was 15% during the holiday times, but now it is back to it's back to 10%. So Lexi is there to help us out with that. Lexi also in chat is saying that Fandomion has new alternative merch along with their original stuff. So check that out, guys. Check out their new merch that they have over on Fandomion. If you guys see any of the stuff that you like from their new merch, guys want to go ahead and purchase that, we have a promo code again for you guys to use, promo code LEX, promo code LEX for 10% discount off of your guys' purchase. Thank you for that, Lex. And then if you guys want to go ahead and search through other different anime stuff, over on Instagram, we have some friends here who have their own little shop where you guys can purchase anime stuff, and that is over at AnimeCrunch. So if you go over to our Instagram page and you go to our followers, or you go to who we're following, they should be there. Click on their profile. If you guys can't go ahead and find that, their Instagram name is AnimeCrunch. That is crunch with 2 H's. So you have anime CRUNCHH, and that is the numbers 24 at the end of that. So that's AnimeCrunch 24. You go ahead and go to their Instagram profile page, and they will have a link for you guys to go ahead and click that link. You go straight to their online store where you guys could go ahead and browse through their anime stuff. They have a lot of awesome anime stuff. Check it out, guys. They also have another separate Instagram page where they go ahead and have different figurines. That is at Geeky Statues. That is as it is spelled. It is Geeky Statues, all one word. Geeky Statues. Check that out as well, guys. Just some ways for you guys to go ahead and browse, do some anime merch stuff. So yeah, that is Fandomion, that's AnimeCrunch, and that's Geeky Statues. Of course, we're going to go ahead and talk about our friends here who are very artistic, and give shout outs to our friends here. That is shout out to friend of the show Marco, shout out to friend of the show Eddie. We hope that you guys are still doing well. We hope that you guys are still being very creative and coming up with some awesome art. Check it out, guys. You can see Marco over at oh gosh, Lexi's not here to go and do this, but that is at Marco Momone. I believe that is Marco with a 0. Marco Momone. Check out his Instagram, guys. And then for Eddie, our friend of the show Eddie, he is at Art Dewan. That is Art DE1. Check it out, guys. And then also friend of the show, we have Caesar, who again a very talented artist. I've purchased myself quite a bit of his art, which is around my room right now. And in our link tree, as I mentioned already before, we have a link that will take you straight to his Etsy store. If you guys want to go ahead and check out the different art that Caesar creates, you can go ahead and see him and follow him over on Instagram at ArtofCesar. That is art_of_Caesar_ on Instagram. Go ahead and follow along, guys. See the different art that he posts. If you guys like any of the art that you see, go to his Etsy store. Again, we have a link available in our link tree. Click that link, browse through the different art that he has, and show your support for him, and go ahead and purchase a little something, and go ahead and tell him that, hey, Attack the Talk sent us here. So very cool, guys. So again, huge shout out to Marco, shout out to Eddie, and shout out to Caesar. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you all for your support. Love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Lexi, now I missed something, but Lexi said that she's so ready for season 3. Crazy that it's already been 2 whole seasons and some OVAs. Yeah, it's been a wild ride so far. And the ride itself is going to just get even crazier. But again, guys, thank you so much for the support. It means a lot. And make sure that you guys are looking forward to the different kind of content we have available. Again, we do weekly episodes, guys, where we stream live on Twitch every Sunday. And we also have our episodes available on Fridays. Those are when the episodes will be published. And then also look out for the different Spotify Q&As that we have. Huge shout out to B Dennis for your responses. Thank you again, man, for just the tremendous responses that you have. I love reading them and just kind of just diving into them. As I mentioned at the start of this episode, your insight is just like, it's incredible. So thank you again. And then we also have polls that we go ahead and put up. Zach also posts those polls that we have on Instagram. Those will be available, I believe, on Saturdays when we usually post them. Make sure you guys go ahead and keep up to date on those. We love hearing your guys' feedback and seeing how, where one way sways over the other, the different results. So look forward to the different polls that we do, guys. My words are all starting to blend together, guys, which means that it's time to get the heck out of here. So thank you guys again. We will see you guys next week, and hopefully I'm joined by my friends. And yeah, so Attack the Talk loves you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Just be positive people, guys. Just spread that love, and just look out for one another. We love and we hate. And I'll see you guys next week. All right, guys. Have a great rest of the week. So, season 3, crazy, huh? All right, guys. I'm out of here.